Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
It's the pop culture field, man, Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pop Culture Field Manual podcast. You know it because it's sitting right at that intersection of weapons, action, the military, and pop culture. Thanks for listening, everybody. We're super excited to be here because we have a pretty good episode for you today, at least in Izzy and I's opinion. Is that the correct way, or is it Izzy, me and Izzy? Or Izzy and I?
Mine and Izzy, Izzy and I's, me and Izzy's? I can't tell. I don't know the grammar rules about when it's supposed to be you and I or you and me or me and you. I can't. I
brain dumped that.
I always thought the smart people said you and I, like me and I. He and I.
He and I.
In our, you could just say our opinion. In our opinion, this is a very...
There we go. Let's simplify it. Let's
important.
KSS. Keep it simple, stupid. But we got a great episode for you. Let's get real for a minute. We've all done shitty things. All of us. Whether it's dine and dash at a Hooters, guilty, or slaughtering all the Jedi and ushering a reign of evil galactic empire, we all have stuff that we wish we could take back. And that's what we're here to talk about today. Redemption. Yes. Characters and story arcs that start off in the depths of, man, I'm a real bastard, and then take us all the way to the highs of, hey, people can change, including me. I'm glad you've come on this journey with me. Now hand me that flamethrower. Let's get redeemin.
Die, Nazi scum!
That's great. Who wrote that? Did
Chris.
You write that?
No, Chris wrote that.
Oh, Chris, of course Chris wrote that. It was a good intro.
Let's get redeeming. It's redeeming time.
Yeah, see, come with this journey. Now hand me that flamethrower. Let's get redeeming. That's awesome. Good job, Chris. Kudos to you. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Izzy? Are you, there's a lot, obviously, character arcs, and you always talk about character arcs, so.
Yeah, and I feel like that is, it's not always a redemption story, but I think the story of redemption is the story of mankind. I think it's one of the most powerful, ideas, that we all have, because we all know what it's like to mess up, and we all wish that we could take certain things back, and then I think we all love a good redemption story because inside of us, we all want to have that feeling of redemption of either, having our past forgiven and forgotten or becoming better than we are. Cause I feel like redemption, it's like, what is like the actual definition?
Hit that Google, dude.
The action of saving or being saved from sin, evil, or error. Okay, that's God. That's a more religious aspect. The action of regaining or gaining possession of something in exchange for payment or clearing a debt.
Clearing a debt.
Yeah, clearing a debt because
so that's more monetarily, saddened.
Well, but I mean, more. What about morally? Because one of the ones we can talk about today, Four Feathers.
Excuse me, what'd you call me?
Listen,
what's Four Feathers?
There's a rational explanation. Four Feathers is one of the ones I wanted to talk about today. It's Heath Ledger, and it's the story.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie.
I thought it was going to be a cool story. Okay.
Yeah, it's a film from 2002. We can actually start talking about it a little bit. But basically, it's a British officer resigns his commission. Heath Ledger resigns his commission just before his regiment is sent to battle, and as a sign of disdain, four of his friends give him 4 white feathers, which is like a symbol for cowardice. So he receives. So the journey from the movie is basically him trying to find these friends and commit acts of heroism or redeem himself by giving back these feathers. And he has to travel all around, and he ends up trying to save his buddies. One's in like a big old battle surrounded by, tribals in a faraway land. I forget exactly where he goes, but so anyway, that's it's like a hard line redemption story, basically. So that's the kind of thing where we feel like when we do something wrong, something really seriously morally egregious, we feel like we need, if there was a way that we could get ourselves, like buy back the honor that we feel like we've lost, or maybe even erase the mistake. I'm sure there's a bunch of I feel like time travel is a lot of time travel movies are about going back and changing the past,
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing in redemption stories, I feel like, is the moral redemption, where a character, I think the obvious ones are when a character does something bad, and then throughout the course of the movie, whether they're the main character or not, they end up doing something good to either replace that bad thing, or they end up, I feel like, a lot of times sacrificing themselves. Like we've talked a lot about Boromir in Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Like he gives in to the temptation of the ring, and then he comes back and he shows that he really is an honorable guy by fighting and defending the hobbits, leading away the bad guys from where the ring bearer is, and then ultimately he gives his life, which is kind of the ultimate, it's an ultimate act of sacrifice, but for him, he ends up, I think, redeeming his moral character at the very end, even though it costs him his life,
Yeah, I got you. So what you're saying is there's multiple ways of redemption. It doesn't necessarily need to be self-sacrifice, or that's like redemption in its most ultimate form in a way.
Yeah.
But something that lets you pay off, in quotations, a moral debt or a monetary debt. So yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, we've done an episode on self-sacrifice, but there's a lot more to redemption than just giving everything to kind of redeem yourself. So you mentioned Four Feathers. That's actually never heard of that movie, and that sounds really cool because I like Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
But
F's up in chat for Heath Ledger.
Yeah, what's F's up in chat? What is that?
No, that's a streaming or gaming thing. I actually forget where it came from, but it's you put a capital F or put an F in the chat to show respect, to show like, oh, somebody died. Oh, F's up in chat.
What's the F stand for?
I don't know. I think it was like, it's like some really obscure, like know your memes kind of gaming kind of thing.
No, it's like if you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Wait, what?
You don't know that?
No.
You don't know, a Z job.
A Z job.
A Z job. You know what a Z job is?
No.
If you got to ask, you can't afford it.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah,
I guess I can't. I guess I can't afford it.
No, it's from. Fuck. What? What's that movie about the beer games? Beer Fest. Beer Fest.
Beer Fest. Okay.
When they're recruiting that one guy, and he's like, "Okay, here's the deal." He's like, "You watch me $5, I watch you $10." He's like, and then he just works his way up the chain, and he's just like, "I'll give you a blowjob for $30, Z job for," he's like, "a B job for $30, Z job for 35." And the guy's like, "What's a Z job?" And he looks at him, he's like, "Oh, honey, if you gotta ask, you can't afford
it." Yes, it's one of those things that came from the way back machine of gaming history, and then it just, now I'm sure half the people that use it don't even know what the origin is anyway.
F's up in chat. I'm writing that down on my things to Google later.
Things to Google. That and Four Feathers.
Yeah, that and Four Feathers. But yeah, we got a good list here. I have one that really stands out to me because low key, I'm a big fan of this series. And it's very random. Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, now you're talking about the series, right? Not the not the live action movie.
Not the where they basically Indiana Jones, that entire series, but just cartoon, just the anime. Is it anime? Would you consider that anime?
Well, anime, I define anime as Japanese animation because that's the name that they give it, anime.
Yeah.
Like, I try to sound all Japanese. Anime. I'm very French. But anyway, no. Okay. Animation would be just any animation, anything that's animated. But anime specifically, I think, is I use it to refer to
Oh.
Japanese animation. So
So,
but
yeah,
it's an
yeah, no,
American
you're right.
animated cartoon.
According to my Google, is the short answer is no. Avatar: The Last Airbender is not anime. Avatar: The Last Airbender has been recognized as a popular anime by some, but it is actually an American animated television series. So it's American, therefore it is not anime. So I'm just going to call it a cartoon.
But anyway, regardless, you like it because there's a
Regardless.
bit of a redemption story in there somewhere?
Oh, yeah, huge. So Prince Zuko, who's one of the main antagonists in the beginning of the series, pretty much is banished by his father, who is Fire Lord of the Fire Nation. So he's like the top dog of the Fire Nation. He was banished by his father to never return unless he's captured the Avatar, which, if you're not familiar with the series, the Avatar is a master of all 4 elements. So you have earth, wind, fire, and air. And basically, the Avatar is able to utilize all the elements, and he pretty much restores and he's like the gatekeeper, essentially, of like the balance of the nations. So the Avatar goes missing for like a long time. And finally, he's found by some water tribe people, and basically, he's a kid. And like the Avatar, the spirit of the Avatar will hop from person to person.
Oh, it's
basically,
like a spirit thing? Like
it's
he's
a
been
spirit
chosen?
thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, like one time it'll be born in the Air Nation, and then the next generation will be born in the Fire Nation, and then the next generation will be... So it basically hops from individual to individual. And yeah, it's a spirit thing. But Zuko needs to pretty much capture the Avatar and bring him back to the Fire Nation in order to gain his father's respect and take his place back on the throne. So like the entire first couple seasons is literally Zuko and his uncle just never letting up, trying to kidnap Aang and his gang of misfits. But Aang gang, and like he's, Zuko in the beginning is really, because I mean he's at his core he's a firebender, which utilizes anger to kind of bend.
Okay.
And because fire is dangerous, so like it's the last in the grand scheme of things, it's the last element that Aang has to master, and he's actually afraid of it because like he's like the airbenders are all like super monks. They like start off as monks, and they're all like super, because air is everywhere in air, But fire is like scary to him, and he almost doesn't want to learn it because it's too dangerous. But pretty much Zuko's a firebender, so he's all like centered in anger, and he's young and he's careless, and all he cares about is himself and regaining his seat on the throne. But his uncle is kind of his like angel on his shoulder, because he like kind of tries to teach him and push him in the right direction, and keep him from pretty much blinding himself from the relentless pursuit of personal elevation in a way.
Yeah.
But his uncle like tries to ground him in reality, and he's like, hey, there's more to life than trying to be a prince again. But as the series goes through and Aang is like on the run, he like has this huge arc where he like his uncle gets in jail, he becomes part of the throne again, because he redeemed himself, and then he just realizes this isn't, what I thought it was going to be. He's like, I don't feel the feeling of like pride that I thought I would find when I'm sitting back here, because pretty much the Fire Nation is like ultimate evil at this point. And through all his adventures and his uncle's teaching, he's like, this isn't what life is supposed to be like. So in a complete 180, Zuko goes off and like tries to find the Avatar again, but instead of capturing him, he goes out to try and offer him training to master firebending. But obviously they don't trust him at all, and it's a huge redemption thing. But yeah,
now
ultimately, go for it.
In his journey of redemption, is there like a pivotal moment where you can see in the series that that's when he makes the decision? Because I guess the best way is when you see subtle hints of it, like they start to slowly change. But there's always like an inflection point. There's always like a moment of crisis or a moment of truth where they're like, Was there anything like that in his character, like a moment or an action or an event that made him think like, oh, I got to change my ways. I got to turn this around.
I'm pretty sure, and this is just going off of my memory, I'm pretty sure like the main thing was Zuko's respect for his uncle. And then he also has a sister, and her name's Azula, and they don't get along as well, like by any means. And Azula's like pure evil, like she does not care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she does not care about anything. And his father, who he respects so much, like praises Azula, but Zuko kind of has like morality, but his sister doesn't. So like his father kind of sees that as weakness. So basically the father would always praise Azula, but never praise him because he showed always some form of weakness, which you can kind of see as some morality. So that's one thing. And then basically, I think the real big catalyst that that pretty much made him switch sides was when his uncle got arrested. Because I'm pretty sure Zuko, he could basically fill the shoes he needed to, but he realized that without his uncle, because his uncle ended up becoming arrested as a traitor because he helped the Earth Kingdom in like this huge battle, I'm pretty sure. And he realized that like his uncle was more of a father figure than his actual father. And that once his father got arrested, he kind of was like back in his family. He's like, this isn't the vibe that I want at all. So I think that was the main catalyst that made him. But throughout the show, there's little itty bitty things, and there's little lessons that his uncle teaches him. Like when he fails, he gets angry and has all these witty sayings, freaking classic like Asian wisdom.
Yeah.
That he'll let him know. And he's like, the tea blossom always blossoms best in the moonlight. And it's just like, whatever.
Learn to play the drums like the many-armed octopus.
Yeah, pretty much. And, yeah, but it's I think it was his uncle getting, because basically in book 2, Zuko betrays his uncle. That's correct. I'm reading it now. He betrays his uncle, for his father's love. And then, he realizes that, his uncle, Iroh, that's his name, his love and wisdom was more valuable to him than basically what his father was. But yeah, I thought that was a really good one because it doesn't just happen over one episode. You see it happen over like 4 seasons because each book is like is a chapter of Aang learning a different element. So like it starts off as water and then it goes to earth, and then it starts off as air. Then I think goes to water, and then earth, and then fire is the last one. But yeah, he doesn't really teach. He doesn't become actually like good until fire. So like you basically have 3 seasons of just him just going crazy trying to find this dude. But yeah, it's a great cartoon. My God, they made a new one where like it's a new Avatar. It's the Avatar after Aang. So like they're all grown up and everything. Like all the main characters in The Last Airbender are all grown and like old, and like it's a new generation, and like it's cool. Like the technological advances have like, they utilize like steam engines now, and there's like cars and shit. But like all the airbending's the same, and I like the show for a cartoon. I think it's a really good. It's well made for a cartoon.
I can see why, because you talking about a cartoon and having this character go through this seasons long story arc and change that seems like just good writing. It just happened to be that these writers ended up on a cartoon somewhere. But
yeah, no,
people talk
excellent.
People like yourself and whoever else grew up watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, super huge fans.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, to be able to bend the elements, that was fucking cool, man. That's sick. I always wanted to be an earthbender because I was like, that's fucking cool.
I'd like to be an airbender because I eventually want to get more powerful enough to make myself fly, to like float myself like up in the air. Can you do that?
Yeah, he can. He makes this little like air. He makes this like air sphere, and he like rides it.
Okay. All right, cool.
And then he has this little it's like a little glider that he can fly with because he controls the air underneath it.
Oh, okay.
So like
cool.
he pretty much flies with like this glider.
See, that'd be awesome. Anything having to do with superpowers always for me ends up
Super cool.
About flying. Flying is
Yeah,
always
but then you learn, like, you think water bending's like lame because, like, oh, it's just water. But then you like really learn that like water bending is actually one of the most powerful ones you can do, because you can do blood bending because there's water pretty much everywhere. So like you can like take in, like, there was this one lady who like was a witch, but she's actually just a water bender, but she discovered blood bending because there's basically water in everybody, like the human body is like majority water.
Yeah.
So she like learned how to control people and like yeah. It's cool. Yeah, it's really cool. But
nice,
sweet.
man. Well, that's cool, man. I think that's an awesome redemption story. I want to talk about this one because I just watched it again over the weekend, just randomly. I was like scrolling through the myriad of entertainment platforms that we have available to us these days. And I want to talk about Edge of Tomorrow and Tom Cruise's character, Lieutenant Colonel Bill Cage.
Yeah.
Because
starts off as a huge coward.
Dude, he's a huge coward, man. And he's completely self-centered. That's his thing. He only cares about himself, self-preservation, which like on a certain level, you know, I think everybody can kind of relate to, because it's the most primal need that we have is self-preservation. I think like self-preservation and then like food, water, shelter, and sex. Those are like the main drives that like on a basic human level. And yeah, he even tried, you know, in the beginning of the movie when the aliens are attacking, he's all doing the PR and yeah,
he's the face of the military. He's like he's like Uncle Sam. Like, we need you to fight.
He's the used car salesman to get everybody to sign up and get recruits out there to fight this alien enemy. And he goes to was it Brendan Gleeson, who's like the 4-star general in charge of the Allied forces?
Of all the forces.
Yeah, and he's like, well, we're going to send you tomorrow during the invasion. We want to get some good shots, so we need to put you on the front line with a camera crew. And he's like, oh, I don't do that. He's like, you don't get it. I had a marketing firm, and I just like joined up and became this. I'm a lieutenant colonel, but in name only, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, I don't think that what would all those people out there say if they found out that you were responsible for the deaths of all these millions of people during this invasion tomorrow? You don't think that'd be good for you? So he's basically trying to blackmail him.
Yeah, and he's like, "Are you blackmailing me?"
Yeah. And then he sends him out, and he knocks him out and takes away his rank and gives him a bogus story to Bill Paxton at the base, and saying that he's a deserter, he's a private who tried to desert. And and then I love the conceit of Edge of Tomorrow, because it's basically, if you haven't seen it, it's basically Groundhog Day, where these aliens have like a collective mind, like a hive mind, and he gets exposed to the blood of one of these alphas, they call them, which gives him access to this ability to reset the day every time he dies. So, but he retains all his memories and his experience level. So basically, he just starts dying each day and training each day. He gets a hold of Emily Blunt, who
Full Metal bitch.
Yeah, the Angel of Verdun, who also had the power at one point, but then lost it. So she trains him every day for who knows how many iterations, and he just becomes this awesome, amazing warrior. But his arc, his redemption, is in moving from being selfish to selfless, because as he goes through all these iterations, that he comes to realize that in no iteration, in no day is he able to save her life. In everything that they always do, no matter what happens, no matter how far he gets, she always dies. And he starts realizing that he has feelings for her, and so he starts to actually try to save her. And she's like totally selfless. She's like, no, it's not about me. You got to kill this hive thing. We got to find out where it is.
Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
But he starts really trying to like even just go behind her back. Each day he tries to do things to like get to know her better And like there's this one scene where they're at this farmhouse and they're looking for these keys to this helicopter to fly somewhere, and he like just magically like he's like, oh, there's some coffee here. You want some coffee? And oh, look, I have some sugar and cream. And she's like, wait a minute, have we done this before? Like, he's like, no, what are you talking about? She's like, no, you have. You know what kind of coffee I like and how many sugars I like, and all this. He has all these treats that he's collected. But yeah, that's the big thing. The big thing for him is that he goes from being selfish to being selfless. That's his redemption story. He ends up, sacrificing himself or putting himself on the line all the way through the movie, or at the end of the movie, to not just save her, but to save, and he ends up saving everybody. And spoilers, folks, if you haven't seen it, but he does end up getting into the hive mind. It's like buried underneath the.
It's like in Paris or something.
Yeah, it's in Paris, underneath the Louvre Art Museum.
The Louvre, yeah.
They get into, and he gets down there, and he's swimming down there in this pool, going towards, and he has all these grenades strapped to himself, and then from behind he gets stabbed by an alien, and he's like floating down, and it takes away, like rips the grenades off of him, and they float down into the hive brain, but then he opens his hand and you realize that he's pulled all the pins, and so the grenades explode and kill the thing, but then the alpha brain blood mixes with him one more again, basically, and so he jumps back basically like 2 days to just before the start of the invasion. And the news reports are like all the aliens are dead. They all just kind of died. And then he realizes that he jumped back and to before everything happened. So everything's like fine. So I heard they were going to do a sequel.
Second one.
Yeah. I don't know where that is on the timeline. He's got to do like the space movie. He's doing like a SpaceX movie. I heard rumors that he's going to come back as evil Iron Man in like the Secret Wars stuff.
Iron Man?
Yeah, because like there's this whole, you ever heard about that in the MCU? That I think they originally approached him to be Iron Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but like I don't know, he couldn't do it or didn't want to do it or whatever. But now with the multiverse is going on, and the Secret Wars coming up, then I think they're talking about him making an appearance as evil Iron Man, who's like. He's Iron Man, but he's not the nice guy that
he's
Robert
not a nice
Downey
guy.
Jr. was,
Yeah.
So
not witty.
So
Dick.
Yeah, just a really he's Copper Man or Steel Man. Just like Iron Man. But yeah, Bill Cage. I love that. It's such a very clear character arc, and it's a story of redemption. Him redeeming himself from being just a big old jerk. To a selfless guy. I think that's that's like a classic redemption story.
Yeah. He was borderline Upham,
Yeah.
From Saving Private Ryan in the beginning, but then he totally turns it around. Plus, just watching him die over and over and over. The movies, I love this movie. I can watch it over and over again.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining.
And he doesn't go from like he gets frustrated in the middle of it too. Because he's not only is he trying to get off the beach where the invasion is, but he's trying to save her. And there's a point in the movie where he just gets real cynical, and he's like, it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. What I do, I can't get off the beach and I can't save her, So there's a real struggle in the midst of that too, which they do very well. It's a very well done film, so.
It is.
I want to talk about, I think possibly now I'm gonna get myself in trouble, but I'm gonna say the greatest redemption arc, the greatest redemption story in cinema history, at least in the sci-fi zone, but freaking Darth Vader, man.
Yeah.
Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, and I
have the high ground.
Yeah, it's 6 movies. His total story is 6 movies, from Phantom Menace all the way up to Return of the Jedi. But Anakin Skywalker, Poe kid, growing up in the dark side of the universe, he's on the planet that it's if there's a bright side to the universe, he grows up on the planet that it's farthest from, on Tatooine. Poe, little slave boy.
Slave boy.
Learns the ways of the Jedi.
Now this is pod racing.
Yeah. kills the he's the reference that we use at the beginning in the intro. Kills the village full of kids or full of desert people, and then even younglings later on when he goes full Sith.
Anakin just loves genocide.
He loves it. He's a big fan
Just
of just
loves
killing
it.
whole groups of people. I mean, why why limit yourself? You know?
Why kill one in honorable battle when you could just lay waste to an entire village of defenseless people?
Then you don't got to worry about it later. You know,
no, you don't.
But yeah, Darth Vader, basically, Anakin Skywalker, falls hard, and he is the one who brought balance to the Force, but not in the way that the Jedi thought he would. He brought balance in that the Jedi were riding high and in ascendance and in power in the Republic, and then he balances it out all right. He destroys all of them.
He destroys them
to the point where they're like almost no left. No Jedi left.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that because I actually never realized.
Oh yeah,
that all went over my head because I never realized the balance thing that they keep talking about. Yeah. You just brought it to light for me, dude. I was
he did.
That totally
balance.
Makes sense.
That's why I always thought. And now I don't know if I'm sure that I did not come up with that myself. I thought I heard that explained to me once, but like the idea of balance is that they're always the light and the dark side are always fighting for balance, and when one gets too much in the ascendancy, something will happen to where it'll bring the other one up and it'll bring them into balance. You know. So.
Yeah.
But you guys can tell me who brought that up, because I think George Lucas obviously he's the one that came up with the whole balance of the Force kind of stuff. Yeah. But and it's his is an interesting story because it's his son. It's Luke Skywalker before he got fat, old, and bitter, who ends up getting turning his father, away from the dark side and giving him that chance to redeem himself, and he is the one who saves the day. Because Luke has his own journey before the sequel trilogy. He has his own arc that takes place over 3 movies of becoming a true Jedi, and he ends up, kind of stepping into that mantle when he throws away his lightsaber. He's like, "I am a Jedi," and the Emperor. It's funny. I've watched a bunch of commentary videos on Luke Skywalker and all that kind of stuff, but the only person to ever really call him a Jedi. Up to that point in those movies is the Emperor. He's like, very well, Jedi, But anyway,
because he doesn't really have. It's weird. He doesn't really. That's why I don't really respect Luke.
You're a Luke hater, man.
I am a Luke hater. I think he's lame.
He's lame.
Because you think about it, I think he's fucking lame.
He is the ultimate character. No,
it's the only real growth this guy has is a color change in his lightsaber. Like, he doesn't truly receive. You think about the Jedi's back in 1, 2, 3, right? In the first 3, they go through as a child. They go through years and years and years of Jedi training. Now you have Luke just coming up on the scene. He's
a teenager,
finds a lightsaber, 15, barely knows how to use it. He does a little bit. He does a little blindfolded stuff with Obi-Wan, but then what do you think the time frame is from 5 to 8 or 5 to 7?
From 5 to
I'm sorry, 4. From 4 to 6.
4 to 6. It's a good point. I mean, months probably. Not even really a year. I would say probably months.
So just homeboy in a matter of months, Jedi Master.
I mean, not Jedi Master, but a full-fledged Jedi. And hey, and that's to his credit too, because he did a lot of growth he didn't have the benefit of years of training under a strong Jedi Master. He had to pick it up. He was learning from a ghost for most of that time. And an old guy, an old Yoda, not a baby.
And Yoda's good, but he's not that good, Nobody's that good.
But he did it. He did it. He became a full-fledged Jedi. Yeah. And then apparently he messed it all up, because that's if there's anything we've learned from The Last Jedi is that, he didn't really have an arc. He didn't really learn anything. He was basically the same character. So
yeah. And then
he didn't grow at all.
At the first scent of struggle, he just completely gives up.
He's like, you know what? Maybe I'll kill my student. That'll solve my problems.
Yeah.
In a moment of grief and in a moment of weakness. Anyway, but yes, ultimately he is the character who helps Darth Vader become Anakin Skywalker again. And that's such an iconic moment. I mean, made less iconic by the last sequel trilogy movie, because obviously we know that he didn't die. He was just some sort of clone or something. But regardless of that fact, picks up the Emperor with one arm, you know, tosses him into the pit. And that's that ultimate moment for him. And then he gets to take his mask off. He gets to say that his sister was right, or, you know, he's tell your sister you were right about me, that there, because Luke had said, I know there's good in you. I felt it, you know? And Luke Skywalker was right, about his father, not about himself, obviously, but, Darth Vader, man, the ultimate story of redemption in pop culture. I don't know. You guys let me know if you think that there's, like, when it comes to like sci-fi, fantasy, you know, these kind of iconic characters, Darth Vader's so iconic. You let me know if there's a more well-known, a stronger example of a story of redemption in pop culture than Darth Vader.
Yeah, that'll be a good one, because the character of Darth Vader is really cool, and you guys already know my opinion on it. It's like he's supposed to be one of the strongest Sith Lords, and then he just never really shows it until Rogue One, when he just mercilessly murders everybody, and you're like, that's how he's supposed to be. And then in Obi-Wan Kenobi, the newest series, he's super strong. Yeah. And they never really showed that.
They showed a little. Do you ever play The Force Unleashed? He's in that a little bit too. There's the prologue stage is with Darth Vader, and you're just walking through a village, just laying waste to people like nobody can touch you. So that's always kind of cool to see.
Yeah, but I really didn't think much until like the newer stuff came out about Darth Vader, because then you're like, oh, okay, maybe this guy is strong. Picking up anybody with one hand is borderline impossible unless you're like Haftor Bjornsson, you know?
Yeah, or David Prowse, who played Darth Vader. He was the actual actor in the suit, you know?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, but honestly, best. Yeah, I agree with you, Izzy. It's just because it's so iconic, and I think since it came out so long ago that like people have been attempting to recreate that, but there hasn't really been, you know, an actual character that's existed for that much time and has, you know, embedded itself so far along in a story that finally redeems itself. It's hard to recreate that. But yeah, no, man, I think that was a good way to kind of lead us out here into our game.
Yep. Well, we got a couple of Patreon shout-outs I wanted to do first, real quick.
Yeah. Go for it.
We just got a couple people. Guys, we got a Patreon. If you love the episodes and you want more of this amazing content, more episodes, longer episodes, we kind of cut stuff out of the free versions that we post out for free. So we keep more stuff in there. And then also live streams every month with the gang on our Patreon exclusive Discord channel.
Patreon exclusive live stream movie night.
That's right. Oh, wow, that's really good action camera. Junior Ortega, Joe Bannister, and Eigencon all subscribed recently, and we just want to give you a shout out to you guys. We appreciate your patronage. Appreciate you being with us. So many more adventures to come. We're excited about what's coming up. So
yeah, dude, super excited. Thanks for joining us. But now it's time to play the game before we take this episode to a close. And since Izzy, you can't see it, that means I am the game master.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. For this magical game, I'm calling R is for redemption. Okay, interesting, Chris. Cool. We are going to stick with the theme of redemption, and you tell me if the character I name goes from bad to good, redemption, or good to bad, vilification. This game is so easy, they're going to start calling New Orleans the big R is for redemption. What does that mean,
Instead
Chris?
of the Big Easy, New Orleans is called the Big Easy.
Oh, it's called the Big Easy?
Yeah, so that's like a nickname for it.
Because it's easy to get killed there, or what?
Yeah, it'd be easy to get drunk, maybe? I don't know.
The big R. Okay, I get it, Chris. Thank you.
Chris is with us in spirit.
But it's pretty straightforward, right? So I'm going to give you a name of a person, and you're going to tell me if they went from good to bad or bad to good.
All right.
So pretty much, were they Walter White or were they Jesse Pinkman?
There you go.
Okay. Good transition there. All right. But this game has no warm-up. So if you're listening, try to play along. I know you're in your car, so focus on driving, but still play along.
Yeah.
Starting off, no warm-up. Here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Okay. Scud, Blade 2.
Scud, Blade 2. He goes from good to bad because he starts off, he's the gadget man for Blade. And then you find out he's got the inside of his lip. He shows he's got the symbol of the vampire, and he was there. He was a bad guy the whole time. So.
And you are correct. Yeah, he goes from good to bad. Yeah, he is the Tinkerer, right?
Yeah, that's the best Blade. That's Guillermo del Toro. He directed that one.
Yeah, no, that is my favorite. Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
In what, fishnets?
Yeah.
Where you just see his hard nipples the entire movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
okay.
Go Ron Perlman.
Here we go. This one should be easy. Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight.
Harvey Dent, The Dark Knight. He goes from good to bad as well. But maybe you could say he goes from good to fair. Because it's all about being fair.
What's fair?
Yeah, it's about what's fair.
Call it. Heads or tails.
Say it. What do they call me? And what do they call me in Internal Affairs? Harvey Two-Face.
Harvey Two-Face.
Yeah.
Ooh,
tragic story.
Tragic story. Yeah. Harvey Dent Day may not be Gotham's oldest holiday, but it is one of its most important. I just watched.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the third one yesterday. But anyways, Nebula, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, Nebula. That's cool. That's what's her name? She was in Doctor Who, but she goes from bad to good, actually. Like over the course, she's fun because over the course of the many movies, she actually looks like in the latest one, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, it looks like she's like a full-on, like maybe there's even some romance going on, maybe? I don't know, between her and Star-Lord. But no, she goes from bad to good.
Yeah. You are 100% correct. Bad to good, Nebula. Always trying to make daddy happy.
That's right. Yeah, a lot of trauma there.
A lot of trauma.
She has a redemption arc.
Yeah, redemption. That's good. All right, you're doing great. We're about halfway through Magneto, Ian McKellen version.
Oh, Ian. Oh, okay. I was going to say there's Ian McKellen, the Michael Fassbender version. Magneto, that's weird. He's always, okay, no, he goes from bad to good because from all the movies that, if you count Days of Future Past, by the very end, he's on the side of him and Professor X are hanging out, and he the Sentinels are coming, and he takes the jet and throws it at him and makes it explode. So he goes from bad to good.
You are on a roll, my friend.
Yeah, baby. I got these redemptions.
You're on a roll.
It impacts me greatly. It means I remember it,
Exactly. So these redemptions, and we all know you're all about redemption.
All about redemption. Good self-sacrifice and redemption, baby.
Okay, here we go. We're going to throw a video game at you now.
All right.
Wheatley, Portal 2.
Oh my gosh, that's the one. I haven't played that one. I'm going to guess
50-50 chance.
Yeah, I'm going to guess because it's Portal, I'm going to say good that goes to bad. Because he sounds like somebody who's like a friend, and then they betray you at the end. I'm going to say bad to good. Or good to bad. Good to bad.
Good to bad?
Yep.
I think that's a very good answer because it is correct.
Hey!
Yep, he goes good to bad. There is no context. Don't ask me because I haven't played the first one. So we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
But okay, now back to some good old-fashioned TV series.
Right.
Brain fart there. I was like, what is this again?
Good old-fashioned
Things and stuff. Okay, got two more. Here we go. This is Benjamin Linus from Lost.
Oh, Ben Linus. Oh, man. That's funny, man, because if you count all the seasons, I would say he goes from bad to good. It's a bit of a weird thing because halfway through the series, he stabs the old Guardian, and which is like the way that the evil Guardian, the evil smoke monster, that was his scheme to get his brother, the whole ancient brother conflict. So he ends up killing him, but I think he ends up being redeemed because at the very end he apologizes to what's his name. He's like, "I'm sorry I killed you. I'm sorry I murdered you in cold blood." But I think he goes from bad to good ultimately. good-ish.
Okay. You got it. Yep.
Hey.
Bad to good.
All right.
Bad to good, man. You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 for 6 right now. We got one left.
Oh,
this one, I don't know if you're going to get. But then again, it is a 50% chance.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I know I would get this one, but that says something. Okay, last round. Are you ready, my friend?
Let's do it.
Arthas Menethil from World of Warcraft.
Whoa, no.
Arthas Menethil.
Arthas Menethil. It sounds like a noble name. Arthas Menethil. I'm gonna say I literally have no idea who this is, but I'm gonna say from good to bad because it sounds like he's a good guy, and then maybe I had a fall from grace. So I'm gonna say good to bad.
Ding, 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 buddy.
Hey!
7 for 7.
Woo!
That's great. Yeah, no, Arthas Menethil is the Lich King.
Oh,
Yeah, he's the Lich King. He started off great, but then, yeah, he fell from exactly how you described it. Fell from grace.
see,
And
that's
then became the leader of the undead.
That's a classic story. You know, that's maybe
Classic
we can have another episode sometime, Cam, where we talk about falls from grace, like characters who
falls
start
from
good
grace.
and then who end up evil, who don't get redeemed, who become vilified.
That's put it on the roster. Right after vampires. Thanks, Dean.
There you go, Dean. There you go, vampires, baby.
Yeah, well, good, man. You got that. You killed that one. 7 for 7. How do you feel?
I feel good, man. I haven't had a clean sweep in a long time, so I'm riding high, baby.
That's good. Keep that high going, buddy. You deserve it. And folks, we hope you deserve everything that's coming to you, whether that be good or bad. I don't know.
We hope that whether if you're on the path to vilification, you can turn it around. If not, we hope that you become the greatest villain of all time. So
Absolutely. Or the best bestie in the world.
That's right.
Folks, thanks for listening to this episode. We hope you had a good time. If you have any questions or any comments, of course, shoot us a message on our Instagram at PCFM Podcast, or send us an email to our send us an email to our email
like you do.
PCFMpodcast@gmail.com. Or for our Patreons, we love interacting with you. You can send us a message through Patreon. And with that, Izzy?
Cue music. What's going on, everybody? You just listened to the free version of the PCFM podcast. If you want full-length versions of podcast episodes, plus much, much more, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/PCFM podcast.
That is right, Israel. If you want access to this full episode, you have to subscribe to the Fuzzy Private tier, which is our cheapest tier on Patreon at $5 a month. But if you are interested in a little bit more, we also have the Salty Sergeant tier at $8 a month and the Lifer tier at $12 a month. So hopefully we will see you there, PCFM family. Cue music.